Give me your initial reaction to the SEC going to 10 games and that 2 additional games will be added to your schedule.
Charles, there's so much uncertainty right now in our business. We were very happy and delighted to have something, okay? And I think this was a good plan. Commissioner Sankey did a great job in leading us through this process. It's been very difficult. It's very difficult when so much uncertainty. You don't know what's going on, what's going to happen the next day. And you think about the well-being of the student athletes and our players out there on the field. So, we came down to where, we were going to play. And to be fair and parity and things like that, what was best for the conference. You had some schools out there, especially from other conferences, already lost, had dropped, SEC schools. They're going to the 10-game format. So we had to look across the board what was best for us. And, there was options. There was 12 games, the regular 12 games. There was the other option was, 8 conference games and 2 non-conference games. Or how do you pick the non-conference opponents? And so I think the thing that the president and everyone settled on was the 10-game format of the SEC.
Verge, obviously, we know how hard you work on the schedule multiple years in advance. And so when you have these non-conference games that get canceled, is it something that you'll try to get back on the books, the UTSA, the Texas game, or is that something that you got to worry about these conference games now, then maybe you'll try to find a spot for them later?
Well, I think it's a combination. I think, you worry about the conference games right now, this year, at this point in time. And I think, starting by next week, I'll reach out to those other schools and see where we could fit those games in the future. It's a difficult task, and, you can't just really play them next year, but the schedule's been made out so far in advance right now. So I think Texas and I will be having a conversation soon about, what direction we're going to take.
Well, I had another question I'll queue up, but I can't let that hang out there. How do you feel about a future schedule that would include 2 Power 5 opponents?
Charles, that could possibly happen, but I don't know what they have on their schedule. I don't know if they're willing to do it. It depends on who we play and who's our crossover also. If Florida's your permanent opponent and you're playing Georgia, well, I don't think you're going to put in there a Texas and a Clemson. It would just be very difficult. Don't forget Auburn on there also. So it just depends on our crossovers and how things look, and does it make sense for us to do it. Now, if everybody in the country go, Charles, to say, okay, you got to play 2 Power 5 schools, then that's more attractive to us. Then we could try to say, okay, how can we fit this in and what year we could fit it in. So there's so much uncertainty though right now out there, and we're just trying to figure out, what this thing is going to look like, not only this year, but for years going out. I think, Charles, our world is going to change. Things are going to look differently. I think, I feel for the mid majors right now. You're talking about losing the kind of revenue they're going to lose and resources they're going to lose when not playing these type of games. It's going to really affect their budgets. And, I just hope everybody can survive this thing.
Verge Ausburry is our guest. Verge, we were talking to Herb Vincent earlier in the show. He said that the process is just starting to add these 2 teams and didn't really have a definition yet as to what strength of scheduling, that component to adding those 2 teams, means right now. In your opinion, what is a fair strength of scheduling variable to use in adding these 2 games?
And that's, Charles, we talked about that. We've had those discussions. And really, I don't know, because I don't know what everything else on the other conferences and how they're going to look at it at the end of the day. One of the questions that, we hadn't spoke about yet was, the bowl games and how many games you have to win and things of that nature. So there's a lot of unknowns out there that we still hadn't, got to. We're just letting this sink in right now, to play the 10 games and, who those 2 opponents are going to be. And once we get to that, through that process, then there's all of a sudden about the stadium occupancy, how many people come in the stadium, fans, when you start camp, how long camp goes, do you let them practice every day, all day? Some people might want to have like a spring practice before, because they got a lot of time now. It just was more beneficial to your team. So, when you look at the whole landscape out there right now, there's just so many questions we have, Charles, that this is going to be a day-by-day thing and meeting by meeting every day, 24/7, until we get to the right answers.
Verge, you look at the September 26th start date. Was that something all 14 schools wanted to do, to push it back, to allow you to get time to try to do everything you can to maybe have possibly fans in the stands and just to kind of see where everything's at that point?
Yes, and it all depends on every state too. And we have those things. When we're talking about what's going on in each state. Like right now we're in phase 2 in Louisiana, and a lot of states are in phase 2. A lot of them in probably phase 1.5. We would say, and we have some of that too in different areas of the state. So it just depends on where we are as a state. And we have a state law, HB 59, that says we have to follow the state CDC guidelines. So. And we're an outside venue, which is a lot better than being an inside venue. So right now we're like at 50% of occupancy in the stadium, and it gets to phase 3, it goes to 75%. So we got some options. You saw Scott's letter yesterday. Those 3 options we have down there, and we're discussing the details in that even. Let's say if you, how you want to keep your tickets, and if you don't feel safe coming to the game. But some people, have health issues and just don't feel safe coming to the game without a vaccine or something out there right now. So those are a lot of things that that we talk about and we discuss about. Those are steps that have to take place to make sure that we make sure we have the 10 games.
Verge, is your preference that the schedule that is still in place remain that way and that they add 2 games, or would you like to start from scratch?
I think that's something that Charles, is a good question. That's something that we're talking about now too. That's part of this discussion. How do we look at it? Do you just add the 2 games in 2 spots, or do you have to how you balance it off with the open dates and things of that nature? I think you have to think also just internally with us, if there's an outbreak on your team, how you handle it, when those open dates come in, and do you have to push a game back and move a game? So you got to leave yourself a little wiggle room there. So I think once the teams are determined, who you'll be playing, I think then you look at it and say, okay, how the schedule flows. And I think all of us going to have some input on that throughout the conference with the commissioner.
How difficult would it be if you started over from scratch, Verge? Because as we all know, you've already got travel planned to go to Florida. You've got travel planned to go up to Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so you'd have to restart travel plans as well and get a charter plane and get hotel rooms and all those different things.
That's all part of this, Jacob. And that's where and anybody tell you they have answers to these things right now, they're lying. I tell people that. So everybody talk about, this guy said this guy, everybody talk. No, you know what? I think we're all in the same position right now. You're right. I would like to see it stay the way it is and we would fit the games in somewhere around there. But I just can't, everybody's just trying to digest what we have right now and try to figure out how this thing's going to look and how we're going to play it out, and what's going to be fair to all the teams in the conference, and somebody's gonna get the short change of that. That's just the way this business works. But we're gonna try to do what's right for everybody, and hopefully we have a good schedule coming out here.
Verge, since we've never done anything like this before, I want to ask you about the process of determining this schedule. How is that going to work? Is it going to be 14 athletic directors on a conference call making suggestions? Is it going to be the league sending you individual proposals for a thumbs up, thumbs down? How does the process work?
I think that, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be, we all going to make recommendations. It's up to us, who we would play. But I think the conference is going to handle it. It's going to come from the conference. They set the SEC schedule, so there's going to be one setting the schedule. And you probably look back at some future and past rotations and see what's out there. Mark Womack at the SEC office will be handling this for us.
You said earlier that it's going to be a different landscape moving forward in regards to non-conference scheduling, and I think you're right, and I hope that you're right. But in regards to the conference schedule, do you think there may be some permanent changes that come out of this particular situation?
I think if that happens, Charles, it'll be in the future. I think the format is set up for the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years. But I think after that, then the format might change. And the thing about this here, you also got to worry about the health of our student athletes. Charles, everybody wants to see you playing. They're not NFL players. We're not an NFL program where we have college athletes. They're college student athletes. We have a lot of things we throw in there. Jake would tell you a lot of issues players have. We have to care about that first. So, everybody want to play 12 big-time games and that's just not healthy for our program. And that's why we try to do what we do to ease the schedule in places where we can, where you can't get beat up. You see, I can't go out there and just say a player gets hurt. Jacob, NFL guy, I could go replace him, get a guy for another team. If I lose 2 or 3 of my running backs, then, that's it for the year. Right. That's the same thing with COVID-19 we have. What happens if one running back catches it and the whole room catches it? we made a joke, Shelley Mullinax, who's done a great job with Dr. Katie O'Neill, about, the team that going to win the championship this year will be the healthiest team at the end of the day. But, we have to, and Charles, we've been telling this to everybody, do what they're telling you to do. Wear the mask, social distancing. Please do that. Because bottom line, if you want to have a football season, you need to do those things. If not, these numbers keep going in the wrong direction through the country. This is going to get pushed back too. And we're just being perfectly honest with people. We're not trying to. It's not a political thing we're trying to get into, but it's a thing we're trying to tell people. Those numbers have to be going in the right direction for us to have a football season.
Catching up with Verge Ausburry here on Hangin with Hester and Hanny. Verge, obviously 10 conference games. A lot of conversation in past years about how many conference games is the right number of games. Do you think this will change anything in the future as far as how many SEC games we play?
We talk about that, Jacob, depending on how the schedule looks and what happens in the future. If you're playing 12 games, you're playing 12. Let's say we keep it at 12. Then, that's always 2 more losses for the conference. You have to think about that. And then it's, who you play. I mean, this is a pretty tough conference. And we think this conference is tough enough the way it is by playing a Power 5 and playing 3 other games in mid-majors and FCS school. We think it's tough enough. When you look at our schedule, the teams we play week in and week out, they might not have that record, but when you're playing a tough SEC West schedule, and throw in Florida, who's always has great athletes. And, Jacob, that was your big game when you were here at the 1-yard line. Those are good football players over there. And that's no matter what Florida's record, that's very good football players. So, Jacob, we just going to wait and see after these next 3 years and see what happens. We all have our opinions, and I have some strong opinions on how it should change. But, that's going to be up to the vote when we all get together, AD's recommendations, and the commission and the president's vote on it.
You do know, Verge, that when I talk about adjusting the schedule, I'm not talking about adjusting the number of games so much as I'm adjusting who you play in the other division. If
That's
you,
right.
You know what I'm
permanent opponent. Yeah, I agree with you on that. We would like to see. We would like to see that change also. And I think in the future, Charles, there will be some conversations about that. There's already been conversations about it. And I think in the future there possibility some things will happen with changes in the permanent opponents.
You and I have had that discussion many times.
Yeah.
So I'll ask it this way: there was a time when LSU basically was on an island by themselves and wanting to see that change. Do you feel like there's more support now than at any other time since the conference realigned?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of conversations about it. And I don't know if I would say support, hard support, or soft support on it, but there's a lot of conversations about it. I think it's good for our brand too, and I think that's where we're going to look at it also. Sometimes our fans get tired of traveling to Florida. Florida fans get tired of traveling here. We hadn't been to Missouri, and they've been in the conference for a while now, and we hadn't been to Missouri in a long time. And you saw last year when Georgia came here, they hadn't been here since 2003. My personal feeling is that you play football in this conference, you should have an opportunity to play every school in this conference. And you might not be able to play in their venue, but at least you play them. Sometimes we just don't play teams in the conference for a long period of time the way it's set up. And like I said, we hadn't been to Missouri yet, and I don't know when the last time we've been to Kentucky. Probably the year we led the 2 losses to Kentucky for 2007.
Ooh.
You look at that. That's what 12, 13 years.
You're gonna have full recruiting cycles that never even sniff those places.
No, sniff those places. Yeah, and I think and this is my personal opinion, so I'm not speaking on behalf of everybody in the conference at LSU, but my personal opinion as a former player. I think Jacob can tell you that we would like to play. I would like to play Missouri. I would like to play South Carolina. We're playing them this year. I would like to play Kentucky and travel to Kentucky. All those are learning experiences for our players. We travel to different destinations and play games and have those opportunities to play those other teams in the conference.
Verge, we appreciate your time. I know it's going to be a busy upcoming few days. So thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, we'll talk to you when it's over.
Thank y'all very much.